Are we ready to get started, Andrew? The more people you expect. He's gone now.
Disappeared.
Yeah. I was thinking maybe he just turned off his camera.
He's in a hotel room in Seattle, so maybe he might have spotty.
Oh. Yeah.
Spotty service.
Trying to get connected. He's having a little trouble.
Oh, okay. All right.
I want to thank Skylar, Amanda, and Andrew for all sending me the board packet. I panicked.
Sorry if I dropped off there. I was having some hotel internet problems. So
Hotel Wi-Fi.
Are we ready to go? Okay. All right. I will call the meeting to order, and I will start with our land acknowledgement. Our library buildings sit on the traditional homelands of the 4 bands of the Spokane Tribe of Indians: Upper Band, Middle Band, Lower Band, and Chewelah Band. Since time immemorial, the Spokane Tribe of Indians has lived and cared for these grounds. Identifying themselves as flesh of the earth, we pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. We show gratitude for the land, river, and peoples who have been fishing, hunting, and harvesting and gathering here for generations. May we learn from one another's stories so that we may nurture the relationships of the people of the Spokane Tribe and to all those that share this land. Okay, and we will take public comment at the end if there is any that is received by the email. And now, is there any proposed agenda changes, or shall we adopt the agenda as presented?
I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
All right.
Second.
Okay. All right. All in favor of that?
Aye.
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 Okay. So then we'll move to approval of the August 2021 board minutes. Can I have a motion?
I move that we approve those August 2021 board minutes.
A second.
Second.
All right. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
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 All right. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion passes. And now we need a motion to approve the August 2021 bills and contributions.
I move we approve the bills and contributions for August in the amount of $3,986,446.43.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, hearing none, motion passes. And now we will turn to the financial report. Nicole?
Thank you, Laura. Appreciate it. Okay, so for our library operations section for August 2021 in cash and investments trend. So as of August month end, we have available cash and investments to pay 144 days of operating costs. Our cash and investments balance, including reserve for capital and net of encumbrances, is at $4,765,188. For our expenditure trend, our August expenditures were $725,007. They were routine and normal in nature. Our payroll costs were $510,653, which is 70% of that amount. Utilities and lease costs totaled $31,263. Books and materials were $72,073. And our interfund costs, which do include some third quarter charges, came to $20,487. And then as far as the business office news, so our new fixed asset reporting module is still in progress and underway. The city did hold a meeting to go over our new reconciliation requirements, and we're now working on establishing that process. This will integrate our asset inventory tracking within our current financial software. Historically, the asset software was an isolated program and it did not communicate with our financial system. And also in late August, we launched the new payment portal for customers to pay online and at the self-checkout kiosk, which is now live at Hilliard. We worked with our community technology department and city treasury to ensure that the reporting and transactions all run as smoothly as they should be. We're now establishing internal controls and incorporating the new reports associated with that transaction software into our new daily revenue recognition process. And I do just want to give a big thank you and a shout out to our IT team, the business office, city personnel, and anybody else that was involved with that process. It's been going really great. So thank you. I'd like to open for questions before I pass it over to Penny with bond updates.
Questions for Nicole? All right, Penny.
Okay, thank you. I have one contract amendment that was signed in August for $60,578. This was over the $45,000 threshold. This wasn't a surprise, though. I mentioned in July during the art update that we were working on an amendment with Spokane Arts Fund, and that was going to include the reimbursement to them for all of the portable artworks that they paid the artists for. We also had made an allowance for $4,000 for they're putting in a little more time than the portable artworks has taken a lot of time from them. And then we took this opportunity to go ahead and add the phase 2 work. So the admin fee for phase 2 Indian Trail and South Hill is $2,000 each site. So those items comprise the amendment. Now for topic of the month, it seemed fitting because we have 2022 budget on our agenda tonight, and Nicole's going to roll that out here in just a little bit. But I thought it would be a good time to talk about how you budget for the bond. It's very different than operations. Operations looks at a one snapshot at a time, the forthcoming year. And the bond has to look at the period of accumulated spending since we got the proceeds. So that's why when we look at the bond, you'll see in the inset below, I show every year of expenditures. So to get to a 2022 budget, which by the way is our 4th of 5 years, we take total cash, $34 million in this case. We reduce that by our commitments that are in the form of contracts and purchase orders, and that leaves us with $16 million to bring forward to 2022. So you'll see down below, I left the headers on the Excel sheet. Column H is where we'll see our 2022 budget. Now we adopt our budget at the fund level because we do have to move within our sites based on the needs of the projects. Since we got our bond proceeds, we've earned $5 million in interest. We've spent 2.7 of that, mostly on our children's area, signage and some equipment. That leaves us 2.3 million that we'll bring into the budget in 2022. It's important to note that interest is meant to fund the approved uses of our bond measure. It's not a savings account. It's there to accomplish our responsibilities to the voters. In the same way, contingency is the same way. We don't stockpile our contingency. We rely on our architects and engineers, our contractors, and we take their advice on the things that we should be doing with these proceeds. If we get to year 5 and we have interest earnings that are left over, we have to work with our bond attorney we have to take a presentation to council and ask for approval to spend those only if we have met all of our obligations to the voters. Or we can transfer to the debt service fund and pay down the debt on the bonds that is owing. So with that, when Nicole brings forward the 2022 budget, you'll see that it's for $16,937,400 for the bond. Any questions? Okay, you're an easy audience. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Penny. Okay, so now we have the bond construction project update. Matt, you want to take us through that?
Yes, I would like to. Thanks. Well, closeout is the word. We're in the middle of closeout on a number of projects, and I don't know if it's ever going to end. It just seems like it's going on forever and ever, but we're getting there. We're getting furniture installed. We're putting books in, and it's coming together. So it's kind of exciting. It seems like it's taking forever, but we're getting there. So it's going well. Because the central library is well under construction. Roofing is about 85% done, and they've done about 60% of the site work. And they're putting in boulders, plywood boulders on the second floor, and they've got ceilings going in, and it's really looking good. It's going to be an awesome building. So that one's fun to work on. Lots going on, lots of things to take care of. And then we can't forget about South Hill and Indian Trail. They're going to go out for bid in the middle of October, with bids coming in early November. And they'll probably have the contractors on board and working late this year and going into next spring. So that's the nutshell version of what's going on in the construction world. So any questions for me?
Yeah, I have a question. Is the shelving showing up yet?
Yeah, that's my understanding. It is showing up, and books are being put on once it's installed.
Good.
Is that a little earlier than we expected the shelving to show up now, or they're?
I think it's a little later than what we expected.
Well, I know it's
So,
later than original, but yeah, I thought we were looking at October or November.
to be honest, I'm not the right guy to ask about that. I'd have to-
Jim, this is Karis. It is just about right on time.
Okay.
With the updated schedule that the shelving installers provided us, I think they're 1 day ahead of schedule right now.
Okay.
All right,
Thanks,
any other questions for Matt? Okay, excellent. Thank you, Matt. And
you.
now we have the chairman's report, and there is no chairman's report. So we will turn it over to Andrew for the executive director report.
All right. Well, we have been real busy, whether we are, continuing to react to any sort of mandate or guidance that comes out from the state or federal government. We continue to stay on top of that. With Washington State's recent reimplementation of an indoor masking update, one of the precautions we took was to contract with our security for a bit to help enforce that mandate. We didn't really know if there would be protests, and we really didn't want to put that on our staff. But we've been able to navigate through that. Again, just taking that extra precaution because I think that many folks are experiencing some fatigue after 18 months of navigating through the COVID situation. Wanted to highlight one of the more interesting things that we're embarking on, and this has to do with the Central Library. We've reached out to Eastern Washington University to see if we could partner with them to create what we're calling a welcome team. And this is comprised of area university grad students that are focusing on social work or counseling or public health. And these folks would serve alongside our staff to help navigate individuals that are coming into the central library to these different services. So really, trying to embrace people where they are at. It's very much like a community court situation. It's just a bit more proactive, and they're not going through the legal system to get these services. So a high potential partnership that we're working on. We'll also be looking at other universities to help support this, but we're really excited about the possibility that this could bring. As far as programming goes, our big focus right now is on Latinx Heritage Month. We've created some book lists and videos. We're hosting a virtual program where attendees can gain a better understanding of how the Latinx ethnic community label themselves and how those labels have changed over time. That's going to be held on September 29th. It's a virtual program. And for our DEI work, we're launching some affinity groups for staff. If you're not familiar with what an affinity group is, it's a safe space where folks that share a particular identity can talk and share their experiences. We're starting out with an affinity group for BIPOC staff and another one for our LGBTQ plus staff members. So the hope is that we can come together internally and feel less isolated and more connected. And we're also launching DEI discussion groups for staff, and we'll use this space on a monthly basis to learn about various experience and topics through really an equity lens. And the hope is that it helps grow our understanding of different experiences of individuals. For our Star Spotlight for the month, that went to Eric Warren. He's part of our facilities team. Even though we're in this pandemic, we've still strived to increase our outreach into the community. And Eric and his team designed and constructed shelving units to be used at a local retirement facility. So thank you so much for taking on that extra task and increasing our reach in the community. We opened up the Hilliard Library. That was kind of a big deal on September 2nd. We've now opened 2 libraries this year within less than a month with the Hive Space and the Hilliard Library. I think that the school are so lucky to have a built-in audience. All those middle schoolers there on opening, it was just seemed really special and really a reminder of why we went into this collaboration in the first place with the school. So thank you, Kate. I know you were a big part of that as well as the rest of council. But we're just so happy to be in this place right now, to be expanding our reach into the community. The other big news is really around the Central Library and the Central Library land and Hilliard Library building. Council did approve that MOU last week. So once we vacate the Hilliard Library building, we will transfer that over to the city and we will receive title to the land that the Central Library sits on. So really happy with how that worked out. I hope that council can work with the community to expedite future use of that facility once we have vacated. And finally, as you know, we are in budget season. Nicole's going to be running us through that, and we're hoping to get some approval for that so we can meet the city's shortened timeline this year. It's certainly been a wild ride. So any questions for me?
I do have a couple of questions, Andrew.
Yes.
And it really is around the DEI work that you're doing. The affinity groups. First of all, are you still using the same person who did sort of the testing? I don't know if I call it testing, the evaluations for your continuing work with DEI?
Yes, we're still using Tara Dowd. Yep.
Okay. And for the affinity groups, how are they formed? How is it communicated to the employees? And do each of the groups have a sponsor, or how are they sponsored?
So Tara is leading those.
Mhm.
We've been, Amanda and crew have been putting out a monthly DEI newsletter to staff that highlights different opportunities, training opportunities, different topics where they can learn about, encouraging those IDI assessments as well. So there was a call out in our last newsletter for if you're interested, please come join us. Tara will be leading or facilitating rather both those groups initially. And that'll just be the start. They may develop in different ways. We don't know at this point. This is our first shot at it. But it's a voluntary thing where, and it'll be held virtually at this point. But we're really, hoping to see an organic growth from that and those conversations that happen in those groups. Am I missing anything, Amanda?
Thank you, Andrew.
You're welcome.
I had a couple of questions too for Andrew.
Sure.
One, we say opening the first half of November. Do we have actual dates, or is it still just?
I don't know if we're brave enough to actually say what the dates are at this point. But I think that Shadle will be in the first week of November, and we're looking at Liberty Park the following week. Give us a couple weeks, and then I think we'll be a little bit more secure in sharing out those dates, exact dates. But we're getting that confidence back that we're going to be able to meet them. It's just, sometimes you never know what's going to come and get you.
And my other question was about the Hilliard Library, that council there, that community council there. There was some urgency about when this could happen. Are they feeling okay about the timing? Did we get this done in time for them?
Yeah, I touched base with them, and they were just super happy and thankful that the board on our end really expedited that process.
Mm-hmm.
They understand that it takes a little bit of time to move out of a facility.
Mm-hmm.
I have expressed that if they need to get into the facility earlier to start making some tenant improvements, and if that's the direction that council wants to go with the building, then we would certainly can make arrangements to make that happen so they can expedite getting a mental health clinic onto the campus.
Okay.
Any other questions for Andrew? Okay, next on our agenda is the council liaison report. Kate, do you have a report for us?
No, not really. Just lots of openings in the community at the library. So that was really fun to be at those events and be a part of it. I know my brother's at On Track Academy and he's really amazed and loves it. So that is a great collaboration. So otherwise, I don't have any updates from council side. Thanks.
Thank you, Kate. All right, next we have the communications report. Amanda?
Hi, everyone. Quick report for you guys today. Just kind of recapping some of the things that Andrew mentioned. We had the ribbon cutting at Hilliard on September 2nd, and we've been promoting and sharing resources for Latinx Heritage Month for September 15th through October 15th, including the program that Andrew mentioned and some book lists on the blog as well. And one thing that's not listed here is we welcomed a new member to our marketing team. You can see her picture here. Her name is Alina Mercar. Oh, yep. Hi, Alina. She is awesome. We're so glad to have her. She's coming at an optimal time for us because we have so much on the horizon right now with launching our website, hopefully within the next month, opening 2 more branches, and just wanting to get a lot of communication out to the community about what we have, to offer at the library. And so welcome, Alina, and we're so glad to have you here. And then as far as highlights for social media, typical growth we're seeing with that 0.2% increase in fans on Facebook, and our top posts were about our openings at the Hive and Hilliard. and in August. And on Instagram, our classic book face Friday post was popular, as well as posts about the Hive. And on Twitter, as usual, some of our historic photos were very popular on Twitter in September, or in August, excuse me. On YouTube, our videos were viewed 2,827 times. And the top videos continuously are Finding Your House History Online, and a video that we made in partnership about the excuse me, about Asian American History Month. Those have been our top videos for months now, and they just continue to get a lot of traction on those. So no changes there. And let's see, just scrolling down, our media coverage was great this past month because it was all about the Hive, all about Hilliard. And I would just say that there's more fun stuff to come on that in the next months as we're opening our next branches. So maybe a little quieter report for this month, but that's only because next month and the month after, we're going to have lots of news to share with you with the openings and the launch of the website, fingers crossed.
All right. Any questions for Amanda? Go ahead.
I have a question. Actually, it's maybe a question for Andrew, but I noticed a social media post about the self-service kiosk at West Central being down. And I was just wondering why it was down and whether it's back up again.
There's a rock.
A
Big
what?
rock. A rock. And
Somebody
it smashed.
threw-
Yeah, it smashed the glass.
No.
So we are working with the vendor on next steps. As you know, that machine hasn't been as useful and as reliable as we had hoped and dreamed from the very beginning of the implementation. So right now we're looking at, should we possibly replace it with the new machines that we're getting in the community, which we're hoping will be more reliable. They don't have the glass that this machine has. So we're working through that right now, but it'll be a while before it gets back up.
Okay.
It's unfortunate for sure.
Well, I actually had a question, and again, this is one I'm not sure if it's for Amanda or it may have been something I should have asked in Andrew's presentation, but I ended up with a conflict, so I couldn't try to attend, but I had on my calendar that last Thursday was going to be Lilac City Live at the Lucky U. Did that happen? And if so, how did it go?
That has also, we are not doing in-person programming. So in order to, have some fairness throughout the rest of our programming, we opted not to do that as well. It also frees up the space for Lucky U to do planning and events with their own community artists and visiting artists that are coming into town. So once we are doing the in-person programming again, we'll look into delivering that very popular program.
Yeah. Okay, well, now I don't have to feel sad that I missed it.
You didn't miss anything. We missed it, but the community missed it.
Actually, I had to send a message to Amanda saying, I've got this on my calendar. But I looked on the website and I don't see it. Am I still going Thursday night? So I was in the same boat.
My apologies. I should have contacted the board about it. Glad to know that you have the interest. That's great. It's our fun event.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions on communications or anything else? Okay, now we will turn to new business, and that is the 2022 budget. Nicole?
Thank you again, Laura. Appreciate it. So now you should be at page 35 in your packets. It's the start of this agenda item for new business. And if you just flip through the title page, here you will see the overview of our fund number 1300 library operations. This is the statement of revenue and expenditures for our suggested 2022 operations budget compared to the 2021 adopted budget. We do have the additional support from the city and the anticipated cost increase associated with our new buildings and with our increase in services. We do have the proposed budget currently set at a net resources amount of $32,788. And you'll see the FTE also is 90.15 with a head count for employees of 102. And just kind of doing a walk with me to the next page. So this is a look at a closer look at our financial resources. For our tax-related revenue, we're looking at an amount of $11,596,454 for the 2022 budget. And if you look at the levy lid lift, that increase is a 5% increase in assessed property values. We do have that at a conservative amount. And then also you'll see the general fund. We do have the support for expanded operations and service that we'll be providing for our community. And for non-tax related revenue, the 2022 budget amount for that is $238,700. So we are anticipating additional contributions from the Friends of the Library. Brenda has been very busy, which we absolutely appreciate and love working with them. We also will be opening our central branch in 2022. So we're anticipating some revenue from our parking garage, as well as the communications department is anticipating some revenue in merchandise sales. So those are really the significant changes that we saw in that portion. So just moving on to the expenditure side of our budget. So this next page here is our expenditures by department for 2022 budget. You'll notice that if you look at the graph, the largest contributor for our expenditures is the Public Services Department. They do make up 46% of our budget. And then the next page is the expenditures by type. So that same amount just broken down into categories. One thing to note, let's see, there are items that are subject to modifications by the city. A lot of that will be in the benefits and salaries portion, and then interfund costs as well. 68% of our budget is related to personnel costs, and 60% of that amount is public services. So just moving on to the next one is just the staffing costs. Here's sort of a breakdown of that. So total personnel costs is $7,877,980. You'll see the difference from 2021 to 2022 budget. This does include an increase in our FTE for a total of 90.15. And then the benefits, a lot of what makes that up, 40%, sorry, need some water. 46% of our benefits budget is medical, and then 24% is retirement, and 20% is social security. So that's what makes up the majority of that. Okay, and then moving forward to the supplies and services budget for 2022. You'll notice that the supplies, we're anticipating an overall decrease, but we do have an increase in our operating and in our repair and maintenance supplies, since we will be fully operational with all 7 branches within 2022. One thing that offset that increase was there was a one-time budget item in 2021 that's no longer there. So that's why we have that net difference of minus 9,000. And then for the services, we're proposing $1,804,315 for that 2022 budget. So what makes the majority of this is the professional services, which is $336,000. Of that, $90,000 is for books and materials related costs, so processing and barcoding our books. $33,000 is in community technology for project services. $45,000 for maintenance and service to our new collection software. We'll be launching that. It's called Folio. And $30,000 for pest control. And then in contract services, we have a total of $254,500. $88,000 is in our community technology department, and it's for patron access and technology annual software support. Things like Communico, which hosts our online booking portal, as well as our mobile app, which has been really, really great since we've launched that. $85,000 in facilities, which supports our HVAC maintenance, our fire sprinklers monitoring, our alarm and security system monitoring, as well as elevator maintenance. And then additionally, let's see, $40,000 is expected to be continued in our administration department, because we would like to continue the diversity, equity, and inclusion services that we've been obtaining. So, additionally, sorry, let me take this back. Additionally, in the services budget, we're looking at utilities costs of $343,595. We have $40,000 set. I'm sorry, a lot of little notes here. So, okay, there we are. So our rent and lease, we're anticipating $59,000. We are currently planning to be out of STA by June of next year. We've got snow removal at about $30,000. We've got an increase in buildings and space for that. And then our IT and data services, so things like internet, phone, Microsoft licensing, and then licensing for our collection management software. That's at about $155,000. Alarm and security service guard services, we've got about $190,000 suggested for that budget. Our insurance will be about $100,000. And then we have repair and maintenance for our facilities department for equipment and buildings, and ground maintenance as well at $142,000. So that's just a quick kind of summary of what that entails. It's a large portion. So moving on to the interfund page. So here you'll see an overall interfund 2022 budget of $229,128. So these are charges that we pay and in support that we receive from the city. So they help us to facilitate our payroll processing, our expense payment processing, and our banking. In 2022, we do anticipate a decrease for the facility repairs, of course, because we will have new buildings. And we also have eliminated the reprographics line item, which is for printing that we do through the city. So we've decided to just go with outside printing resources for 2022 and onward. So again, that's something where rates, city might change some of those after we adopt our budget. And then that puts us out to the capital and service debt expenditures. So looking for a total there of $1,220,103. We did not have any suggestions to change the capital building improvement or the books and material budget for 2022. We do have a slight increase for potential equipment purchases. So that's anything that gets over 5,000 is capitalized. And a slight decrease to our RFID loan payment. So that wraps that up. So the next pages are essentially supplemental to our 2022 financials. These were presented to the Finance Committee in August. And this is the same format that we use for our monthly expenditure and financial reporting. So both revenue and expenditure, my apologies. So this is really the summary of our Fund 1300 operations budget for the net resources of $32,788. And then if you skip to page 56, that will show you the bond portion that Penny did provide earlier. So that's just another snapshot of that. Again, the bond portion is $16,937,400. And then if you go to the page after that, 57, I have provided you an updated organization chart. So this shows where we have these suggested personnel and staffing needs in 2022. And then following that is our financial projections page. Same format that we follow year over year. You will notice bottom line, we do have the additional operating costs post-bond amount still in here. So in 2022, we will still have some branches closed for construction, but we will be fully open for the full year of 2023 and onward. So we do expect some more cost increases for utilities and things of that nature. Once we start to budget for that year, we'll know what amount of those are truly recognizable. Another thing to note on this page is for the 2023 and through 2026, we do have a year-over-year expense cost increase of 3% for inflation. And also our levy does expire, or our current levy expires at the end of 2024. So we have anticipated for purposes of this report that we will be renewing and going out for a levy starting 2025. So, and those payments are released in May and November of every year. So that just kind of wraps everything up. Again, city does tend to make some budget adjustments while we go through the budget process. They likely will, I believe they're scheduled to adopt in December. So if there's anything significant or material to that budget, I will definitely bring that information forward for the board. So that brings us to the agenda item 12A, the 2022 budget adoption. So just some background on that, and as Andrew iterated earlier, the 2022 budget process was accelerated. It did begin in August as opposed to typically June or July that starts. We were really fortunate. We did analyze and do some budgetary needs in advance, so we felt really prepared to meet the city's deadline on that, which was great. Excuse me. Thank you. So again, the Finance Committee did convene and review funds number 1300 library operations and number 3365 capital bond budget on August 18th, 2021. In addition to the 2022 proposed budget, this action will also include budget authority for the carry forward of encumbrances that are unfulfilled at year-end 2021. Those obligations for Fund number 1300 library operations and Fund number 3365 capital bond will be reappropriated in 2022. The details of the encumbrance carry forward amounts will be presented in the 2021 year-end financial reports. So the approval action that we are recommending today is that we request adoption of the 2022 budgets for Fund number 1300 library operations and Fund number 3365 capital bond fund, as well as the carry forward of encumbrances that remain outstanding at year-end 2021. So now I would like to open for any questions that you guys might have.
I have a question. I noticed that books and materials, there's a section for that in the capital budget, but is there also, I mean, under supplies and services, does that also include books and materials as well?
So those are costs that are associated with books and materials that are not the capital portion of it. So the service, like for the processing and when they put barcodes and those types of items on there. So those are the non-capital costs.
Okay. And the other question I had is the Finance Committee did review this, and I'm just wondering if they have a recommendation for us.
They did review.
Nathan.
And recommended approval.
Yes, we do.
I have a question. I don't know if anybody has looked at this yet, but I was curious. I'm noticing that our operating cash is currently at 144 days of operations that we could cover, and with the expanded staff in the 2022 budget, has anybody looked at what that does to our number of days?
So we do have since we do have the expanded staff in 2022 budget, our budget is higher, and so the way that we calculate that 144 days essentially is what our overall expenditure adopted budget is, and what our net investments in cash, what that entails. So it's essentially our entire adopted budget expenditure line divided by 365 days. So that number will change beginning in 2022 once we have that adopted figure. So we do, and if you look on that page 58 for our financial projections. We are looking at, if you look at bottom line, the revenue less expenditures, you'll see that we might have a shortfall as far as what that funding looks like. And fortunately, with what's kind of happened in previous years, we have healthier reserves than we used to. So I feel like we are prepared to handle that. You know, in the short term, long term, we will work with city and have a better understanding of what those needs truly are. But for now, I think we are good to go and we're covered. Does that answer your question?
Oh, yeah, it's probably not something you've calculated yet. I was just wondering, we're at 144 days. Are we going to be at 120 days now, or?
Understood. I'm happy to provide you that calculation in email if you like.
Sure.
Okay. With the rest of the board like that?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I can certainly do that.
All right. Are there any other questions about the budget? Okay, so we're looking for a motion to approve the adoption of the 2022 budgets.
I move we adopt the 2022 budgets for library operations and capital bond fund and the carry forward of encumbrances that remain outstanding at the year 2021.
Okay, can I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, hearing none, the motion passes. All right. And are there any additional agenda items or changes we need to add and address now? Okay. And is there any public comment that needs to be reviewed?
No.
Okay. Our next regular meeting will be Tuesday, October 19th, 2021, and that'll be held virtually. And we don't have an executive session today. So with that, I believe that we are ready to adjourn.
Thank you all so much.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.